Hey y'all, what's going on? I just got back in from my walk and man, it's starting to get warm out there and I'm looking at day 21 of my working out and staying on track for being in shape. And like I know that at a certain point in the process, you're no longer trying to be disciplined. You just are disciplined. And what it feels like is something inside of you is no longer resisting. You have this ability now to become and to live the way that you want to live. And if you've made it to day 21, you are starting to step into that version of yourself right now. Hey y'all, this is Ken and this is Life Moves with Ken. And on this channel, we talk about what it's actually like to be on the move in our lives because we recognize that we have to move with intention, not through hype, not through quick fixes, because we've realized that life moves whether you're ready or not. And the goal here is simple: to make sure that we're moving with it. So if you've stayed consistent over these past 21 days, something should have already started to change. And it may not feel super dramatic or anything, but here's what we know. You probably are starting to notice that you're hesitating less. You probably are noticing that you're following through more. And you probably even notice you have become less resistant to the change that you're trying to make. You think about it less and you just start to do it. And so we started off in week one. And in week one, man, it was probably a hard week for you because we were building new patterns. Then in week two, you probably felt a little bit more uncomfortable, but it was probably moving towards less resistance. And now you should be feeling that the goal that you're searching towards or the goal that you're reaching towards feels a little bit more normal now. Now, it may not be easy, but it should at least be a little bit more familiar. And what matters is this familiarity, because what you're noticing is the patterns that you're starting to build, and patterns are what shape your life. So don't miss what's happening here. You've been making changes, but the changes really are internal. And so you're becoming more consistent, you're becoming more structured and more reliable. And most importantly, you're becoming someone who does what they say. There's a reason why this feels different at day 21. So at the beginning, everything required effort and every decision felt like a fight. So every action was in a push and pull of energy. And you had to push yourself to the start. You had to convince yourself to follow through. But now something is starting to shift. And this isn't just mental, it's neurological. We talked about the fact that as we're going through change, that we are creating new neural pathways. And so when you repeat the same behavior consistently, your brain starts building stronger pathways around that action. And this idea is called neuroplasticity. And so we're not going to go really deep into what that means, but I can share with you this idea that at first the pathways are weak. And that's why everything felt hard. That's why you had to think about it and you had to force yourself to start. And that's why it felt really kind of unnatural. But every time you repeat the behavior, you're strengthening that neural pathway. And so think of it like walking through a field. And the first time you're walking through it, there's no path. It's just an overgrown space. And then every time you walk that path, you're making it a little bit clearer. You're making the pathway a little bit more obvious. And so after a while, it becomes automatic and it becomes easy. And that's what you're doing right now. You're building neural pathways. So what felt really difficult in week one, it probably feels a little bit more normal now. And because what's happening is your brain is adapting to what you've been doing consistently. And so if this was you at the beginning, you were asking yourself questions like, should I do this? Do I feel like it? That was probably week one, maybe part of week two. But now those questions are probably showing up a little bit less, and you are now starting to just automatically do some things. You're not debating as much. You're just moving towards the action that you said is your baseline action for the goal that you have. And so that shift from forcing to doing, that's really where your identity starts to evolve. And so once you make something automatic, it stops feeling like you're trying to do something, and it starts feeling like something that you just do because that's who you are. And when we look back at that, that's really what change is all about. So this is where you need to be careful. Day 21, you've had some victories and you've had some accomplishment. And what many people do when they get around the third week of their goal attainment, they start to relax and they start to feel like, oh, I've got this. But while you're not likely to totally quit, if you loosen the standard, then you're going to fall back to a space where you were before. So it looks like this. You skip one day and you tell yourself, oh, it's okay. You start cutting corners, or you stop, for me, putting your shoes by the bed, or you stop doing the 2 to 3 mile walk, and then it's no big deal. In other words, you stop being intentional, and then you tell yourself, this is not failure. It's just a small little change. But this is actually how people fall off. It's not all at once. It's just one step away from the pattern. It's one step away from the baseline standard. And then they wake up one day, 3, 4, 5 days later, and there's been no progress. And in fact, there's been steps backwards. And then you find yourself giving up. So you don't lose it through big steps. You lose it through small compromises. And that's why this stage is so important. That's why this stage matters. Because now it's not about starting. What it is now is about maintaining the standard. So what does that look like for me? I'll give you an example. This morning, I got up and I had some things to do. I share with y'all every morning. I get up and start my day off with prayer with a group of people from my church. And then my wife, she had to go to the campus where she teaches, and I had to meet with some students. And so I was here at the house by myself. And so I had to make a decision. Am I working out now? Am I doing my walk now? Because normally the walk happens in the morning. And so with no motivation outside of just me, I had to think through, do I want to do it now, or I can do it later? On Fridays, we have a very set routine where we shut the day down early so that we can start to wind down from the week. And so if I didn't do it early in the morning, then it becomes, will I do it later on? Then it becomes, you kind of know that pattern where I'll push it off. And so I had to think, what is the lowest standard of the behavior that I was willing to accept when it comes to working out? And for me, you'll remember my lowest standard is 2 miles once I start walking. And so I got out. Didn't really feel like doing it. But again, remember, feeling like doing it has nothing to do with us attaining our goal. Our feelings don't matter. What matters is, what is the standard? It's a yes or no answer. Did I do the 2 miles, or did I not do the 2 miles? So as I was walking at the beginning, I was like, okay, I could cut this short. But the question is, did I do it or did I not do it? And so as I started walking, it became easier because my mind had started to shift, not towards do I feel like it, but my mind shifted towards this is what the standard is. So I have the exact spot where I need to walk to and then walk back home. And once I got to that frame of mind, then it became much easier. What is the standard that you need to maintain at this point? Because remember, it's not that you fail in big chunks. We fail in small steps. And the identity that we're creating is the repeated behavior over time. It's built through what you do consistently, what you tolerate, what you follow through on, and what you don't follow through on in those times where it would be easier to just take a day off. And so right now, you're in the middle of that process. And every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you're laying another piece of that identity. You're setting the pattern, and you're walking down that pathway that you've set for yourself. And every time you don't negotiate with yourself, you're reinforcing that pattern. So the goal right now is just consistency. Our identity is not built on intention. It's built on proof. My identity and who I say that I am is built on the idea that I know that I am these things. I know that I will do these things. And that's what a person of standard is all about. So right now, what are you doing? You're collecting that proof. You're proving that you can stay consistent. You're proving that you can follow through. You're proving that your word to yourself actually means something in terms of action. And that's how you form your identity. Again, it's not that something that we form in a moment, but it's repeated on days like today for me, when it was easier to sit down. No one would have ever known, but I know. And because I'm building this for myself, I have to face myself in the mirror and say, did I do what I said I was going to do, or did I not do what I said I was going to do? And I have proof that I can follow through because I did it today. So we're down to the last 9 days or so, and you've made it this far. Now all you have to do is finish. You have 9 days left, 10 days left, wherever you jumped in on this whole journey. And this is not where we slow down. This is where we lock in. So stay with the pattern and keep the same standard. Protect that structure that you've built. No changes, no additions, no resets. Just finish what you started, because the way you finish matters. And it proves something to yourself. It proves that you don't just start things, you complete things. And if you made it to day 21, recognize this. Most men never get this far. They get comfortable. They relax. But you're not that man. You're not getting comfortable. This is where your identity is locking in. And this is where you're staying sharp. You're staying consistent. This is where you decide, I'm going to show up for myself all the way to the finish line, because you're not just building habits anymore. You're building a new person that you can be proud of, and a person that you can say, that's my identity. So I hope this has been a great 21 days for you. Now lock in for the last 9. And if this helped you in any way, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, because this channel is about helping men move forward with intention. One move, one pattern, one day at a time. And remember, you're not starting over, you're just starting from right here. And so this is where we become who we decide we want to become. Hey, I say it every single week, and I really do mean it. I love you guys. So glad that you're here. Remember, you're making life moves, because life is going to move whether you move with it or not. I'm Ken, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.